Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast. And the big news today, guys, we have huge news. Huge news. I have entered my iPad era. Credit to me. Credit to me. That's the big news, folks. I have entered my iPad era. Credit to me. Credit to me for acknowledging Taylor Swift's stupid phrases. Other than that, I have nothing for you. There's no Cubs news.
I've not entered my iPad era, but I did tell Cody that I got a good deal on the Studio Beats, the headphones.
Yes.
I couldn't pass that one up, so I've entered my Beats. I've re-entered my Beats era actually. 'Cause It's been a while since I had them.
Look at us.
Re-entered.
He's got new headphones. I got new technology to follow the show, so I can leave my computer at home. That's the main reason I got this iPad, to be honest with you. That was a fun way to start the show. Hello, everyone. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, please. It is Thursday. The sun is out in 40 degrees in Chicago. In November, I'll take that every day of the week.
It was almost 50 at one point today.
Like 3 days ago, I was freezing my ass off coming here, and now it's perfect fall weather again. 40 degrees, hoodie weather. You know, you got a little sunshine. The leaves all change colors basically off the trees now.
Chris, our friend Chris Peguero, said, did we sign Shohei yet? Unfortunately, the Cubs did not sign Shohei Ohtani. Greg Braggs is upset because he wanted that for his birthday present. And
he blames me for not getting it.
He blames Cody for it.
Credit to me for taking the blame.
Gary says there is Cubs news. I guess we should talk about it for the third day in a row.
The big news?
The big news.
That Bruce Levine tweeted about Glasnow perhaps actually being like confirming conversations, confirming talks.
Yeah, I mean we've obviously talked about Glasnow all week and how he fits, and you know, talks make sense. But also talks are just talks, right? Like just because they're talking doesn't mean they're going to get him. But yeah, like we've said all week, the fit makes sense. To get even the $25 million, which is a large sum of money, don't get me wrong, but a team with a lot of caps or a lot of space underneath the luxury tax, a 1-year contract on a pitcher who is a bit of a gamble, but you could get a really, really good pitcher. Like you could get we've seen Tyler Glasnow at his healthiest, at his best, and he's a really good pitcher. He's different than what the Cubs have in the rotation now. You take a gamble on it, but you have potential to have a really, really good starting pitcher to pair with Justin Steele at the top of that rotation, and you're not. I don't look at a package that they would have to give up for him as mortgaging the future, because I don't think they're going to have to give up like their top prospects. Maybe you give up. I don't know, like we talked about, like was Nesky up there maybe?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what a package would look like, but I don't think you're giving up top prospects.
Yep.
So I don't look at trading for him as mortgaging really any of your future. Maybe a couple contributors potentially, but not your future of your franchise. And you're not locked in for long-term money. It's 1 year. So yes, Bruce Levine confirmed talks, but about Tyler Glasnow is happening. Makes sense. It would make sense for the Cubs to really be interested in him. It would make sense for the Cubs to get him. At this point, talks are talks, right? And that's kind of what we've discussed. Like, until something actually happens, talks are just talks at this point.
For sure. And nothing against Bruce. I didn't need him to confirm that the talks were real. I think Morosi tweeting it alone is enough for me to believe that the talks are real. But as we talked about this week, I think we talked about it on Monday a little bit, the most, that it makes a lot of sense for the Cubs because, like you said, you're not giving up a ton for him. You're not selling off major prospect capital or anything like that, and it's for 1 year. And it's almost in some ways similar to Cody Bellinger last year, except I do think there's a little bit more, not only upside but more certainty, because Cody Bellinger coming into last season was awful for 2 years prior. Tyler Glasnow's entire issue has just been health. So and he's coming off a season where he pitched the most innings of his career and pitched the most starts of his career. and he's going to be going into a walk year, and you don't have to give up a ton for him, I'm willing to roll the dice on that. And obviously it's not going to be the only move they make. So I'm all for it, and we'll see what happens. I would love for it to happen before we go to the winter meetings next week.
Yeah, give us another day to talk about Tyler Glasnow this week, right?
Right.
No, but I do like the point you made is that Cody Bellinger, like injuries definitely played a part in the 2 years prior to this past season, like his underperformance. Like injuries certainly factored into that, but when he was playing, it wasn't good, right? Like Tyler Glasnow, he's been injured too, but when he was healthy enough to play, he's been really good. Like so I think that's a good point you're making is that with Cody Bellinger, there was just a little more uncertainty because he was healthy enough to play but wasn't playing well. With Glasnow, yes, there's uncertainty because he gets injured like every year pretty much. Like he's dealt with injuries pretty much his entire career. But when he is healthy enough to play, you see it. You see how good he is when he's healthy. And that's why I like when we're talking about the gamble, we loved the gamble on Cody Bellinger. We thought that was exactly what the Cubs should do is go out and bet on Cody Bellinger to have a bounce-back season. I think they should go out and bet on Tyler Glasnow to have a bounce-back season. I think
it's not even really a bounce back.
It's not even a bounce-back, right? Yeah, but it's like just a productive, efficient season. I mean,
he's got a lot to prove if he wants to get paid a lot of money. I'm willing to take a chance on it for 1 year. And I said this on Monday or Tuesday.
Is it a gamble that he's probably going to get hurt? Yeah. Yeah, but
you could say that about
a lot of guys,
right? Like, I don't know. I'm reading the chat a little bit, and it's always all over the place. A lot of people saying that the Cubs are being cheap. I don't understand. Is it just because nothing's happened yet? The offseason is young, folks. Winter meetings haven't happened yet.
Yep.
Don't give up hope. No one thought the Cubs were going to do anything last offseason, and they signed Bellinger, and they signed Swanson, and they signed Tyone. All right?
At the winter, Bellinger and Tyone both at the winter meetings, and Swanson not too long after that.
Right.
Maybe a week or so after that.
Most of the big moves happened in December, right?
Yeah. Like, there's...
You got to be patient. I understand, like, the anxiety that it brings, and it makes you want to be negative. I see you, Godfather.
But it's always funny because when you compare it,
like
you compare it to the other off seasons, like in other sports, like NFL and NBA. They get their top players signed pretty quickly, and maybe that affects fans who follow multiple sports. Like, why isn't the baseball calendar? Why is the baseball calendar moving slow? Yeah, that's just how it goes, man. Like. Have we seen any? I mean, Aaron Nola is the biggest signing so far, but he just re-signed with his team. It's not like he had his big, free agent, meetings or whatever with all these teams and then went somewhere else. Like he just re-signed with his team pretty quickly. But that's still the biggest one this year. So it's not like the Cubs are the only ones not going out and getting anyone. Like some other teams have gotten maybe a little more under the radar signings, lower tier signings, roster marginal player type signings, but like nothing big has happened yet. So when
there were some moves made last night with the Mets signed Joey Wendell. I think the Braves signed a reliever. The Reds just made a signing this morning for Nick Martinez. They're all small moves. It's nothing major.
Like Sonny Gray was a big signing the other day in St. Louis, but like he's not. Yeah, he's not an ace, right?
Shall we? We can use that as a transition if you want.
Sure.
So I was reading Ken Rosenthal's notes that he put out this morning, and then he mentioned Dylan Cease, former Cubs prospect who is now in the White Sox, part of the Quintana trade, as we all remember. And it says that he said in there that the Cardinals are interested in trading for Dylan Cease. 28 years old, 2 years left to control. Do I believe that those are real? I mean, if Ken Rosenthal is saying it, sure, yeah. How do I feel about it? Well, he was really good 2 years ago when he was finished up a Cy Young finalist, second in Cy Young voting 2 years ago, and then last year kind of fell off. You can say the White Sox defense was bad. Their entire team was bad. How much does that go into Dylan Cease? I don't know. All I know is that his one biggest problem that he's always had is he walks too many guys. He doesn't really go deep into games a lot just because he does throw way too many pitches. And I don't have his fan graphs up on my my iPad right now to really confirm that. But that based off the eye test of when I have watched him pitch, his good starts are whenever he's getting a ton of strikeouts and is able to get quicker outs, and his bad starts are when he's going 4 or 5 innings, still getting a ton of strikeouts, but he walks too many guys. So to bring it back around, would it make the Cardinals better? On paper, yes, and I think the rotation obviously needs another guy like that because Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson cannot possibly be some two guys that the Cardinals can rely on now.
You say that now. You say that now.
Most homers in 2023 and most hits in 2023. That's all I got to say.
Both going to be Cy Young candidates next year.
Probably because I said it, yes. And we can all blame me whenever it happens. But at this point in the offseason, I think we all know that signing Sonny Gray was a move they needed to make. And if they were to trade for a guy like Dylan Cease, it would be a very it'd be a very Cardinals move, going after a small market team or a team that acts like a small market team that shouldn't be a small market team, and poaching a guy that's potentially entering their prime, and probably going to trade absolutely nothing for him, based off how we see the Cardinals make trades. I hope the White Sox aren't that dumb. They can absolutely get a ton for a guy like Dylan Cease, and the Cardinals have a good enough farm system and good enough major league talent to move some guys to where the White Sox could probably get some guys ready to play next season for him. So to me, on the basis alone, it makes sense that the Cardinals are interested because they have the guys that can move to get a guy like Dylan Cease. But I don't know how to feel about Dylan Cease. Like, obviously there's a ton of upside and he strikes out a lot of dudes, but we've obviously seen a lot of good, and then there's also been some just like bad that makes you scratch your head to like why he hasn't just been consistent, in my opinion. And again, this isn't me saying that he's bad or that he's not worth a huge haul. I just don't know how well I don't know what his future projects.
Yeah. Well, and this, like I said the other day with the Glasnow trade, like I'm not good at projecting trades and what a package would actually look like. Like I don't have any information on that, but he is a guy. Yeah. What was it? What did you say it was? It was like a runner-up in the Cy Young or third place in the Cy Young?
Like in 2022.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it runner-up?
I believe it was runner-up behind Verlander.
I think so. He had a great year. I remember that.
I bet on him to win Cy Young, so I came close.
Yeah, so he has obviously pitched well historically in the past, and he has 2 more years of club control, 2024 and 2025. So that adds another little layer on it. Like, it's not a 1-year thing. Like, he got another year of control on him because he's not eligible to be a free agent until 2026. Yeah, I don't know what that package would look like for Cease. It kind of goes back to what we talked about with like Ohtani last year or even Soto last year. Like, at the time, having multiple years of control meant that you didn't necessarily have to trade them if you weren't getting the kind of offers you wanted. Like, the White Sox could still trade him at the trade deadline next year or next offseason, right? Like, they have the control of him, so they can do that. Is it always the best option? Potentially not, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next year. Injuries happen, underperformance happens, so you kind of have to pick your battles in that way. But the Sox obviously don't have to trade Dylan Cease like immediately. There's no, unless they're getting the package that they really want or a package that really sways them in that way, they don't necessarily have to trade Dylan Cease. So whether it's the Cardinals or whoever, I think it's more on them to provide a package that the Sox like and are willing to accept for Dylan Cease more than the Sox need to push Dylan Cease out. I think it's on the other teams that are trying to get him.
There's part of this rumor is that I think Chris Getz, the GM for the White Sox, basically said something along the lines of they want to wait for free agents to come off the board too. So I don't see this move happening at or at least at the beginning of the winter meetings, maybe at the end of next week. But maybe I would think more so, sometime in the middle of December, something like that. I guess the thing for me when it comes to the White Sox and Dylan Cease, and I guess I would need to talk to Sean and Herb and probably Vinny a little bit more about this, is like I don't know, like I still don't understand the direction. that they're doing. Like they were in their winning window. They're supposed to be in their winning window last year, and they lost 100 games. They sold off a bunch of dudes, and they have one of the most dynamic center fielders in baseball getting paid absolutely nothing. I don't know how you can fathom, like, quote unquote, completely rebuilding and not trading Luis Robert, who's not on the trade market. So in some ways, I'm like, I think the White Sox, in knowing how Jerry works, they want to be competitive, but they're not going to spend the money to actually go from a 100-loss team to, a competitor. But they play in such a bad division, so it's like I don't understand what they're doing. Like that's kind of my point. And so it brings me back to they could get an absolute haul for Dylan Cease, but also, it's not like you're playing in the AL East or the AL West, and you're just wasting away years of an MVP caliber player like Luis Robert. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just me looking at it from the outside looking in. Like, to me, the White Sox should be trying to completely fix this shit because, again, they're supposed to be in their winning window, and I think that's
awful. Closed. I think it's closed by now.
For sure. It feels like it's closed.
Which is why they're, they let go of Lucas Giolito. Did they? Can't remember if they waived or traded Lance Lynn next year.
They traded Lance Lynn to the Dodgers. And
was it a trade? Or was it a DFA?
They traded him.
Okay,
and they traded Giolito to the Angels. I believe it was a trade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
they were able to make some decent trades at the deadline last year.
But that's why, like, a lot of these guys that they thought they were relying on, they ended up getting rid of them because it's now. Yeah. I think that window's closed. But
again, my whole thought process is like, man, y'all really gonna waste all these years of cheap Luis Robert and go into a full-on rebuild?
Can you turn it around quickly? Is I guess a big question for them.
Yeah.
I
feel like they'd turn it around quicker if they kept Dylan Cease, but at the same time, organizationally, their farm system isn't very good.
Yeah.
Do you move a guy like Cease and try and build with what you got and use whatever you get back for Cease as a way to turn it around quicker?
Well, I think you can compare it to the Cubs in 21, right? Like, it was a year after they were a playoff team, and granted that was the 2020 season, but they still had that core of players, right? Could they have kept Rizzo or kept Bryant, or could they have kept one of them and tried to quickly turn things around and with whatever? Sure, but they did end up deciding to go all in on just hit the reset button is what Jed wanted to do. That's what he did. He made the tough decisions where could Rizzo have been the guy they just kept around and bridged to the next core of players, a group of players, along with Kyle Hendricks and Happ and some of those other guys. He could have been, but the guys that were free agents at the end of the year, Jed decided to hit the reset button. And this is something that he said too. I didn't want to go halfway in. If he was going to do it, he had to do it, right?
Right.
So
you can't piddle. You can't go.
Yeah,
you can't go half foot in or 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
It's so tough to kind of try to walk that line where you're okay, we're just gonna. It's tough. So when I'm comparing it to the Sox situation, it's Dylan Cease would be a really good starting pitcher to have and keep around, especially for the next 2 years. But they're in the same place or a similar place to the Cubs, where the farm system wasn't great. They're falling out of this window that they thought they had and whatever. Do you hit the reset button completely, or do you try to do some quick fixes? That's the question they got to ask themselves. Chris Getz has to ask himself that. Is he going to do what Jed did and make the hard decisions that, the fan base is not going to like, but that can potentially help you better in the future versus trying to quick fix things and get back to contention? I don't know. I don't know if the Sox can do what the Cubs have done so far. And the Cubs aren't there yet, right? They're still trying to get their way back to the playoffs. They have not, at the moment, what Jed did has not worked out because they've not gotten back to the playoffs. Right. But it looks like they're on that way. Can the Sox do the same thing? That's obviously up for debate too. If that's the route they decide to go. But I compare it to what the Cubs do. Is they were in a similar position 2.5 years ago, made the hard decisions and.
Right.
You know?
I again, I only bring it up because obviously Cease being part of all these trade rumors. It's not even just to the Cardinals. The Dodgers, people keep bringing up the Dodgers, the Braves. He's from Georgia. Personally, would I rather Dylan Cease be on the Cardinals rather than the Braves or the Dodgers? I guess. Like it sucks in all three scenarios because the Dodgers are the Dodgers and the Braves are the Braves. The Cardinals, like, I don't know. If they trade for him, he's gonna have to throw to Wilson Contreras. I don't know. Like, I think all three scenarios suck. So, and there's this little part of me that maybe hopes that the White Sox continue to just be what the White Sox are and they keep him. But I doubt that happens. We'll see how things play out over the next couple weeks. There was a question in the chat, Sarah. From Ryan Wilson, there it is. What do you think about bringing?
Great name though.
Good, big of you to say.
Give me credit to me.
What do you think about bringing back Isaac Paredes to play third base as part of a Glasnow trade? Would we be willing to give up Morel and Wisniewski / Thompson for that? All I'll say to that is I ain't giving up Morel for 1 year of Tyler Glasnow, personally. I've said this all offseason. I'll trade Christopher Morel if you're getting a superstar caliber player like a Juan Soto, and that's really about it. Or if you're getting if the Cubs want to get part of the Dylan Cease trade talk, which would be absolutely wild. 2 years of Dylan Cease for Christopher Morel, I would consider doing that. That would change their rotation immensely.
That is interesting.
It's an interesting
scenario,
trade.
Right?
I think Wisniewski and Thompson is a good starting point for Glasnow, but I'm not trading Morel for.
If you said Glasnow and Isaac Paredes, Paredes was someone that the Cubs traded, obviously a long time ago.
Fair enough.
So it's a different organization now, different people in charge, whatever. But he was a 4.3 WAR player last year at age 24. He's barely arbitration eligible, so that's another 3 more years of control over him. That's an interesting kind of scenario, and I can't say just without looking more into the numbers yes or no. But Tyler Glasnow is obviously the big name in that trade. Isaac Paredes had a really good year, and his 4 seasons in the big leagues, he's just gone up and up and up. He was a negative WAR player in 2020, a little slightly less negative WAR player in 2021. This is Fangraphs, by the way. Then 2022, 2.4 F4 player, and then 2023, obviously, like I said, 4.3. So, I don't know. I Gary's saying Paredes' batted ball speed is bad. I have not looked into his numbers enough to say whether this would be a good trade or not. Yeah. But it is interesting to see another guy who had a really good season last year with some more control. Obviously, Glasnow's a 1 year guy, but
I guess I didn't take into account about Paredes.
I'm not saying it's a trade I would do right now. It's just it's interesting and something that I would like.
I don't know why the Rays would want to move him unless they really just want to get rid of Glasnow because they don't want to pay him that $25 million.
I don't know, but that if that's something if that's a rumor that eventually comes, I'd be very intrigued because. Yeah. He's an intriguing player.
The pros about him, 18.2% K rate last year. Obviously, we talk about Morel being, striking out 30% of the time, more than 30% of the time, actually.
Yeah, 31 home
31
runs.
Bombs in 571 play appearances. That was basically his first full year. 143 games, so for the most part, he's healthy. 250 batting average, 352 on base, slugged 488, 137 weighted runs created plus.
He had a 362 weighted on base average, but 314 expected weighted on base average, so there probably was a little bit of luck in his game, but it's baseball, so luck happens.
Luck is baseball.
Yeah. I don't know. That again, I'm not saying it's not a trade they should do. I'm not saying it is a trade they should do. I'm intrigued.
It's a little bit more intriguing.
I'm intrigued though because obviously we know Glasnow and Paredes obviously is coming off a good year, is very young with some control left.
Sure. And he's 20. He's gonna be 25 next year.
I would definitely like to take more of a look into that and see what it is.
I guess again, it would be a way for them. They would give up that piece in order for the Cubs to take take on the money for Glasnow.
He's 2 defensive run save at third base last year.
Okay.
Coming off 5 defensive run save in 2022.
That was a good question, Ryan.
I don't know. Great question, Ryan.
Only Ryan's saying good questions.
Ryan's no ball.
We have a super chat from Chi-Town Real Estate. I guess if you need some real estate, let him know. He says, howdy, love you all. I appreciate that,
appreciate
man.
the super chat.
$2.
Appreciate the love.
Appreciate the love. Shall we do some ads before we continue talking about the rest of this?
Let's do some ads.
Tell everyone about how incredible the Midtown Athletic Club was, because me and Ryan got to go yesterday to do some content, and it was incredible.
We were at Midtown Athletic Club yesterday. They were amazing. The people that were kind of working with us were amazing. The club is awesome. Like I didn't never been in there before, so I didn't know exactly what to expect.
Me neither.
It was incredible.
They blew me away.
It was incredible. Like tennis courts, basketball courts,
pickleball,
two separate levels of weights, and like a boxing room with like a small ring. Like it was incredible. Like saunas, steam rooms, all that stuff.
You can get married there on their roof.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? Like a little lounge area that they've had weddings. Like it blew me away. I'm gonna be honest. It blew me away. Midtown Athletic Club was awesome. But to tell you a little bit more about Midtown's got 4 Chicagoland locations: Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and then where we were yesterday, Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. Midtown Palatine actually just launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. Listeners can lock in favorable rates if they join before the end of the year. There's something at the club for everyone. If you're single, like me, if you have a family with kids, like some of our other friends that work here, if you're someone looking to make lifestyle changes, or you're looking for holistic wellness, you're someone that just wants to play a lot of basketball.
Like me and Ryan?
Yeah, like that. Mm-hmm. Got something for everyone. In Midtown, Chicago, arguably probably the nicest fitness club I've ever been in. Like
Absolutely.
As far as all the amenities and all the different things, like I've never seen anything like it. It was awesome. Some of the cool club features they got: super luxe locker rooms with wet and dry saunas and premium amenities, amazing outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, a collection of boutique fitness studios with more than 100 classes per week included in the membership. And they're not gym quality spaces. The spaces are boutique quality. And that was another thing, like finding out the classes were included with the membership.
Yeah.
That's huge too.
Yeah.
Like I think that's something that at other gyms I like, I don't want to pay for all these extra classes and all that stuff.
And also, like in their studio where they do all those classes, it's not a bunch of mirrors where you see yourself. Because like I don't know about you guys, but like whenever I do one of those classes, I don't want to see myself like do all these like fitness moves and stuff, because some of us have anxiety, bro. Like I'm here to openly talk about that,
and it's a focus on the instructor versus yourself, right?
So they don't have the mirrors like that where you're looking at where you see yourself all the time. I think is a great thing. Another
cool aspect of Midtown. They got the best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor/outdoor tennis, pickleball, and paddle tennis courts. It's USTA professional quality all the way. So Mark Harmon, he was watching tennis and he was in heaven. He was entranced by the tennis courts. So head over to midtown.com/CHGO to find out more and to tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you.
And you're all, to get there, you're going to need a car, right? And today is like one of the last days for this great deal that's happening over at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake. If you are in the market for a new vehicle, then we have some great news for you. At Ray CDJR, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and find unforgettable savings. And right now, during the Black Friday sales event at Ray CDJR in Fox Lake, 0% financing is now available on select new models all month long. That's not all. Just for listening, you can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center, or mention CHGO when you book online at RayCDJR/service. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963. All right, we got 43 likes. How many people watching, Sarah? Okay. Can y'all make that make sense?
Get those numbers up.
Come on, bro.
Get those numbers up.
We're here with you on a Thursday. We're trying to manifest Ohtani being signed already by the Chicago Cubs. We're answering your questions. We're reading your comments as much as we can. At least hit the like button for us. Hit the like button because we're going to be at the winter meetings next week in Nashville. Can't wait. I'm ready to try some of that hot chicken, by the way, when we get to Nashville.
Oh yeah,
I'm
our little barbecue.
Yeah, I'm a big food guy. Got to try the foods and because I've never actually hung out in Nashville, so
Nashville's a great place.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, I'm not going there for a bachelorette party, but you know, we got real work to do. So let's see. The how we originally were going to do the show was just kind of talk about the division and how they you know, how they've improved their roster. Most teams in the division so far. So, you know, we talked about the Cardinals a little bit. The Reds added Nick Martinez and Pagan yesterday. They added Martinez today. The Brewers, I've seen some people mentioning in the chat about, how is his name pronounced? Chorio?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not 100% sure.
He's going to, apparently, according to John Heyman, he's going to get the largest pre-debut deal ever, even bigger than Luis Roberts' deal that the White Sox gave him. 8 years, projected 8 years, $80 million. So outside of the Pirates and unfortunately the Cubs at this point, every team in the Central is kind of spending some money. So bringing it back around here, what is one move that you would like to see the Cubs make by the end of the winter meetings? And let's not count Shohei Ohtani, because obviously,
Shohei Ohtani is
Shohei Ohtani is number one on this list. So who is one person, whether it's a trade or a free agent signing, who is one person that you would like to see the Cubs go after before the end of the winter meetings? Let us know in the chat. We'll try and read some. Ryan, take it away. Who's the one guy?
I mean, without not to rehash the whole thing, but Tyler Glasnow is probably one move I think would be great. It just goes back to what he would bring to the rotation at full health. And we've seen the chat, the whole not everyone in the chat is happy about that or wants that, but I think just what he would bring to the rotation in terms of, you know, swing and miss, just a difference from what the rest of the rotation has, and at full health. He's a really, really good pitcher, and I understand there's probably a likelihood that he gets injured at some point this year, right? But the Cubs have very good depth. I think they have very good starting pitcher depth with Ben Brown, who's still waiting in the wings. Cade Horton should eventually make his debut, as you know. Greg Huss told us last week that he should make his debut at some point this season. So there's depth on this roster in the system to I would think be able to fill in if Glasnow were to get hurt, but they don't have the top guys like that, like with Justin Steele, obviously. But when you look at the top of the rotation, I don't think they're as strong as they could be. I think a healthy Tyler Glasnow would definitely add to that rotation, make it stronger. And again, they have the depth. If he were to get hurt again, I think they could just withstand it. If he were to get hurt again, I think they have the depth to withstand it while he's out and keep this kind of train rolling. Yeah. I think for me that's a need, obviously, and Tyler Glasnow is a way to address it without having to give up a ton of long-term money, give up your long-term financial flexibility or a ton of, prospect depth. I think that's a move that makes a lot of sense for the Cubs.
The chat is all over the place. A lot of people saying Reese Hoskins. See Godfather, so he's dreaming. He wants to get Schwarber back. I've seen Yamamoto. If you want me to go big and not say Shohei Ohtani, then Yamamoto is number 2 on my list. 25-year-old starting pitcher. The only thing about Yamamoto that, like, I guess can somewhat scare anyone is just the fact that he played in Japan, and so he has no experience in this league. And we saw how much of a, transition it was for Seiya Suzuki, who I believe at this point was one of the highest paid Japanese players to ever come to America. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Ryan. But I believe that is true. And we've seen the ups and downs of Seiya Suzuki. And so it is a risk when it comes to bringing these guys over from Japan. But that's like the only thing that I have. Like, he's 25 years old and is projected to be an ace type caliber starting pitcher. He would be number 2 for me. If I can't say Ohtani, then I want Yamamoto. I want all of Japan watching the Chicago Cubs. That is what I want.
See, that's fair. The reason I didn't kind of include Yamamoto in that and some of the other players coming out of Japan, like, for Yamamoto, it just, because if we're keeping it as, like, by the end of the winter meetings, it doesn't feel like he's going to be signing by the end of the winter meetings. Like, just because his
he has like a
window just open.
This, right?
I think he'd still have till like January 4th or something to sign for his posting window. So, like, yes, that would be obviously right behind Ohtani probably as far as, like, priorities. But if we're keeping it as, like, what
a realistic thing,
realistic thing, what do the Cubs need to do before the end of the winter meetings, which is a week from now? I think Yamamoto. From everything we've read, it doesn't feel like Yamamoto is gonna be signed that quickly. So what's more realistic, going out and trading for a guy like Glasnow, I think makes sense.
I do think that Reese Hoskins is a realistic thing that could happen at the winter meetings. And there is a tweet I sent out like 3 weeks ago saying that, like, if they sign Reese Hoskins, then I'm going to be a little bit down on the offseason. If based off what is on the roster right now. Obviously, I think they're still going to go make some major moves. But I guess for me, if they sign Reese Hoskins, what brings me down is that I think then they're fully out on Bellinger. And I want to have some hope about Bellinger still being on this team somehow, some way, in all possibilities until I can't no more. So, yes, I'm being a little selfish there. But it's not that I think Reese Hoskins would be a bad idea or anything like that. It would be just like, in some ways, it'd be just like Bellinger too, just because he didn't play at all last year because of the ACL injury. But when healthy, he was a very, very, very good hitter. The defense at first base wasn't very good, but that's why I'm like, okay, if they sign Hoskins, maybe Bellinger perhaps could still be an option just because his defense wasn't good. Maybe he's the DH. I don't know. Maybe you just need more better players. I don't know what the direction is with Hoskins. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like iffy on it in terms of, like, I just don't know what the Cubs are going to do. But
like, it's kind of like what I said yesterday. There's so many, they're just like, names have popped up on the rumor mill for so many different names. And like I said yesterday, they're not going to get them all. So like how that all evolves. And that's also like the needle that Jed has to thread, right? Like you said, if he goes out and gets Reese Hoskins, is he going to be able to go and get Cody Bellinger still? Or is he, they get Ohtani or whoever, but they have to wait on Bellinger and want to re-sign him, but then you lose out on Hoskins. Like there's the evolution of how this whole free agency is going to go for the Cubs. Like it's going to, like, I can't predict. No one can predict exactly how this free agency is going to turn out. Like, we're talking about Ohtani. I think the Dodgers are still the favorite for him, right? Like, I don't think the Cubs are the favorite for Ohtani, outside of what some tweets may have said in recent days. But yeah, it's very interesting how that all is going to shake out. Yeah. But with Hoskins specifically, as you're mentioning, it does feel like a Cody Bellinger situation in a pillow contract, prove it deal, hit free agency again next year, which for the Cubs may not be the worst thing to do.
Yeah, and obviously it all is you can't judge the signing. Say it's the first move they make at the winter meetings, it still isn't going to tell you whether the team is going to be better or not next year. You know what I mean? You have to wait for everything else to play out. But it does sound like it sounds like a realistic thing that could happen at the winter meetings. So, yeah. it doesn't take long for me to buy in on certain things that I'm down on, as I think a lot of people in this chat, and even you, Ryan, have learned. So, what else are other people in the chat saying who they want? Sarah, can we scroll up a little bit?
I saw a couple Rizzos, which I already made my thoughts and opinions on that one.
Barb wants Kimbrel back.
Oh my
lot
God.
of belly.
Can we stop with
belly.
Kimbrel, man? Make it make sense to me about Kimbrel. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
We've seen Stevenson, Imanaga.
Those make sense. I like that.
And those are obviously going to be cheaper than someone like Shohei Ohtani or even Cody Bellinger. No, there are a lot of. I've seen Soto in here. There are a lot of.
Soto would be a massive move.
But there's a huge range in our chat of what people want to see and what people expect to see, which I think tells you how open this free agency is in terms of what the Cubs can and will do. There are so many different avenues they could go, I think, depending on obviously who they're able to get. But there's so many different avenues that they will likely go down to fill out this roster and to improve it, or at least try. That's what's fascinating to me, and that's what I always love about free agency and stuff like that. It's just
seeing some Alex Bregman in here too.
Bregman.
Kind of mentioned it yesterday about how, he's kind of out there in trade rumors just because he has 1 year left with the Astros, and the Astros didn't pay Correa to stay there. Will they do that for Bregman? Who knows? I feel like it's a lot harder to replace third base, as we here have learned over the last handful of years. But at this point, the Astros, they haven't shown that they want to. They're really good at developing players, but I don't know. I don't know what they think about Bregman. But again, 1 year left. They didn't pay Correa. It's not like they're some major market team, and but they still somehow have made it to 7 straight ALCS. So it'll be interesting to see.
It's a properly run organization. If you want to continue to bring up the cheating thing, if that's your prerogative, go ahead. But they keep making it. They keep making it to the ALCS and World Series even years after that happened. So they clearly know what they're doing. If they decide to trade Bregman, it's probably because they have someone that's ready to take his place.
Right. And then they still have Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez too.
So. What's Bregman's contract situation looking like?
Again,
2 more years.
One more year left
After this next season, or is he a free agent?
I think he's a free agent next year, in 2025.
You're right. Yeah, he would be a free agent next year. He is making a lot of money this year.
Yeah.
$28 million.
Yeah.
Or it's $20 million for the luxury tax purposes, but which is I think if they're going to go a third base route, third base feels a little more like let's find a long-term solution to me. And I don't think Bregman is their long-term solution at third base. He's 30 years old. They have some guys who could potentially fill in over there in the future. Matt Shaw is a name that gets thrown around a lot, which is
fair.
We'd still have to see, obviously, if he could handle that third base at the big league level for sure. Mm-hmm. But Bregman it would be a 1 year rental. Who knows if they're able to re-sign him? And third base just feels a little bit more like we have some options here for this season. Would Bregman probably be an upgrade? I would
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. They have some options that they could go with, and third base just feels more like let's find our third baseman, our long-term third baseman position for me.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think the Cubs are going to be part of the Bregman talk, but it is fun to dream about, no doubt. And again, no one thought they were going to hire Craig Counsell, so things can change very quickly, right? Okay. Well, all I know is that something better happened at the winter meetings because we've been sitting here for a month speculating, talking about all these random dudes, and last offseason, I think me and you and Luke went into last offseason kind of putting this, I guess you could call it, pressure on Jed Hoyer to prove that, hey, you can do this job, because sure, he had made some nice trades for all the old core, and the farm system looked like it was, on the way to being very healthy, which it is a top 5 farm system now. And we were like, okay, can you go make the big move? Can you sign the shortstop because this team needs a shortstop? And he signed Swanson. And whether you like that deal or not, he was the most valuable shortstop of Thank you, Sarah. Swanson was the most valuable shortstop of the 4 that signed last year. So that looks like a great move. And, obviously they made the deal for Bellinger. Tyone, we're optimistic about him in 2024, considering how he ended the season. Did it go as well as you would hope? No. But again, they haven't made, outside of Swanson, they haven't made a big move. Now this, like, if Jed and Carter can get the guy, get whoever it is, Ohtani, fingers crossed, that's obviously going to be over a $200 million contract, something that the Chicago Cubs have never done before. It would be an eye-opening move to actually see it play out. And if it happens at the winter meetings, it's going to be a winter meetings that I feel like we are all going to remember for the rest of our lives. We'll be especially if a World Series comes, whether it's next year, the year after that, whatever. Whenever during this next winning window, like, it's going to be something that we talk about for years to come.
Did you just predict World Series next year or the year after?
Well, if we sign Ohtani, we sign Yamamoto. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, I've been saying it all offseason. This team needs to act like a big market team, bro.
No,
because they have the farm system. They have nice young core nucleus, whatever you want to call it. Like, like I said, I'm expecting big winter, big.
Which I don't think is a wrong expectation to have. I mean, they went out. They did spend money last year, right? Like, they gave obviously Tyone a lot of money. They gave Dansby Swanson a lot of money. Like, they the last couple off seasons, Suzuki and Stroman, the winter product, they have gone out and spent the money. But, like,
has it been like has it been enough to where you go into a season and you're like, this team is a real contender?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm getting at. It's like they haven't. Jed himself, as the one running the Cubs, has not gotten them to a point where, he's not gotten to a point close to what Theo was at.
Right.
Like, he has not gotten them to obviously they haven't gotten to the playoffs. They have definitely not gone to an NLCS or won a World Series. Like, that's, in the Cubs' eyes, hopefully that's still to come. But right now, Jed has not proven he can build a roster that gets to the playoffs. It can get to the NLCS, can get to the World Series. That's still to be seen by Jed. And as you said, like, the trades he made in 2021, like, those look like they were the right moves. Like, whether there's Chris Bryant, Rizzo, Javi Baez, Kirk, whoever it was, those look like they were the right moves. Signing Swanson last year definitely worked out in year one. Looks like it was the right move versus going after one of the other shortstops. Like, the things he has done so far look promising, but promising only gets you so far. When do you get to that end point? When do you get back to the NLCS, back to the World Series, even win a World Series? Like, that's what Jed has to prove still that he could do, because he hasn't yet. And again, it's not like a knock on him. He's only been running the team for those 4 seasons now, or 3? Yeah, whatever it was. He hasn't been running the team for that long, and he had to hit the reset button in the middle of that. So, yeah, it's not a knock on Jed that he hasn't done it yet. It's just that we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
He has to eventually get to that point, and whether that is next season or the season after, whatever it is, like, he still has to prove he could put a roster out there that's World Series caliber. Right. That's the big test for him now, because again, I think we all like the moves, and we can agree now in hindsight that the moves he's made were the right moves for the most part.
Outside of these, like, just 1 year veteran moves,
marginal signings, but like the big moves he made look like the correct moves.
Yes.
But when do you start making the moves that get you to real contention status? That's what he still has to do.
Joey asks, so is it safe to say if the Cubs are willing to spend that money on Ohtani and we don't land him, will they spend that money on others? Yes. That's what I believe. And again, the Dodgers are still huge favorites, according to all the reports and everything, that they're going to land Ohtani. If they don't land Ohtani, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a failure of an offseason, because 2 months ago I would have told you that it's a dream. Just based off the reports of the last month, to just see the Cubs are top 2, top 3 favorite for Ohtani has me hopeful, and that was something that I didn't want to have. And so, will I be sad? Yes, I will be sad, but that doesn't mean I don't think the Cubs still can't have a good offseason.
Yeah, no, and I don't think they have to put all their eggs in the Ohtani basket, right? This is the reason why not signing a bunch of long-term deals, like having, again, just organizational health as far as prospect capital and having long-term financial flexibility. That's why it all matters, because you're not Ohtani or bust this offseason. You absolutely still have the ability to put together a really good offseason and a really good roster, even if you don't get Ohtani. And to be honest, like, it may be even easier to do that if you don't get Ohtani, but we know Ohtani is obviously a major play. He's obviously the biggest free agent that's ever became a free agent. But the reason they reset, the time under the luxury tax, the reason they didn't want to go over the luxury tax this season, the reason they wanted to keep the financial flexibility and rebuild the farm is so they have all these different avenues to go after it, to go out and trade for players or sign players or whatever they have to do to improve this roster. And that's something that, I think Craig Counsell and Jed both talked about at Craig's introductory press conferences. Like, you still have to make the right moves, but you have different ways of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Was it like multiple ways to skin the cat is what their the thing was, the phrase. But they do. They have the prospects that they could trade if needed. They have the money to give out now and in the long term. So, yes, Ohtani would be a major signing for this team and a really clear, like, this team is intent on winning because they just gave Shohei Ohtani X amount of dollars, which is like the biggest signing ever, right? They could do that, but if they don't get him, that doesn't mean they're not going to do anything else. Like, they absolutely have the power, the resources to go out and still have a really good offseason.
Yeah. Fake Carter Hawkins, I believe, or maybe it is a real Carter Hawkins. He's always here. He asked, did we give up on Alonso, or are we sure the Mets aren't dealing him? I thought reports were he wanted to be in Chicago. Based off what David Stearns has said, he says that they believe Alonso will be on their team next year.
He's not going to say anything else.
Right, and it's like the same thing the Padres are saying about Juan Soto and how they believe he's going to be on the roster, right? Like, they're not going to say that publicly. I don't necessarily know. But based off some of the moves I've seen the Mets make, I feel like they're going to try and right the ship and, be a competitive team next year, which it's not that I thought they were going to go full rebuild or anything like that, but right now I'm leaning that they're going to keep Alonso. But I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I think Alonso's just kind of fallen a little off the radar because there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about him.
Right.
So not that he's not a realistic target or anything anymore. I think similar to what we've talked about with like Bellinger and some other guys, it's like if Ohtani's the number one priority for the Cubs, it would make sense for their focus to be on him versus others. And that's just kind of how I look. Like, it makes sense that the Cubs and the rumors aren't hot on Cubs and Alonso or whatever because their focus is on Ohtani. Like,
right.
That's how I guess it should be if that's their number one guy.
Right. What my focus is on?
What's your focus
all
on
the time when I'm not here at the studio? It's Hero Bread, Ryan.
It's Hero Bread.
Hero Bread, baby.
Hero Bread's great. We talked about it. I talked about it yesterday. I was looking up the Hero Classic White Bread. Like, if you're looking for like an alternative to the regular bread you go and get at the grocery store, like this sounds great. Listen to some of these nutrition facts: 0 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, 11 grams of fiber, 5 grams of protein, 45. Like, depending on what you want in your food and your just life, your lifestyle, like Hero Bread's it's obviously a great route to go in.
I mean, look at this video that Sarah's showing us.
If you're not on the YouTube right now, you should go and check out this video, or just go over to hero.co, which I'm
so hungry too.
Yeah,
it's not even.
It's like I haven't ate lunch, and it's like, man, I'm gonna go get some Hero Bread after this.
So Hero Bread's founder Cole Glass baked 100 muffins per day before he found the perfect blend that fit his allergy constraints, and that's what pushed him to start Hero Bread. Some of the highlights of Hero Bread, you think about their taste and their texture. The bread is soft, fluffy, delicious, tasty, flavorful, like all the adjectives you want to use for it. That describes Hero Bread. It's high in fiber, ultra low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar per slice. Hero makes sliced breads, buns, and tortillas that are available on hero.co and on Amazon. It's got fewer calories than the leading national brand and 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. So right now, Hero Bread is offering the CHGO fam 10% off their first order. Just go to hero.co and use our code CHGO to save Hero Bread today That's HERO.CO to save 10% today with code CHGO. Go and do it.
Absolutely. And you get your Hero bread, and then you can put it in your Varsity cooler with the rest of like your tailgating needs, or anything else, honestly, because you can use it for more than just a cooler. Right? If you need the perfect bag for game day, Varsity Coolers will have you set game day and beyond with the best portable cooler and weekender duffel bag around. They got a unique design. We have a Bears-related one around this office somewhere. I see Bragg's carrying it around all the time.
I see Sarah.
Sarah's getting it right now.
Back there.
Is she just going to, like, sit it right here? Oh, I mean, look at this thing. This is a Bears. We need a Cubs-related one, too, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Look at this, right? It doubles as a cooler. It's waterproof and double insulated. And, again, it looks like a travel duffel. I mean, I might take this and use this when we travel to Nashville for winter meetings. It fits in a golf cart or as carry-on luggage. It's a perfect Christmas or Hanukkah or a holiday gift, whatever you're celebrating. 21 different teams represented, so they're perfect for any football fan in your life. Built to show up in style to a party or repping around town. You can also use it as a gym bag. Basically, you can just use it for anything, guys. Literally anything. So head on over to varsitycoolers.us and use code CHGO at checkout for 10% off your order.
Put fig noons in your gym bag.
Do
you get that? Do you get that joke?
I heard him say ordle, and I was laughing.
I was saying you could put your fig noons in your gym bag.
Oh, there you go.
You don't know where that's from?
No. Fig
All
Newtons?
my
Is this another Gen Z thing?
Yeah.
all my iCarly fans out there.
Wait, iCarly?
All my iCarly fans out there know.
I did watch iCarly. I just don't remember.
I did watch
Fig
iCarly
Newtons.
too.
I don't remember the Fig Newtons. Anyway,
I kind of remember them. I asked the Gen Z thing because when we were at Midtown Athletic Club last night. Me and Ryan, this is how great Midtown Athletic was. They like fed us. They gave us dinner, right? We were sitting at this long table, and Emma, our social media coordinator, she was saying all these weird Gen Z words,
things, like slay.
Like apparently lit is like legit for
lit
Gen
isn't
Z.
lit anymore.
Yeah, it's not just
means,
like it's
apparently.
lit. Like I don't understand the world anymore, guys.
Cody Core.
Oh,
what does that mean? Cody Core?
Yeah,
You got to work on the Riz.
I've never.
gotta work on the what?
She was saying like Cubs is Cody Core. Like
Yeah,
not even grammatical.
I don't understand.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't understand. You know what I do understand though? It's that Ron Coomer is a finalist for the Illinois National Sports Media Awards. Former Cub and All-Star Ron Coomer. And I wanted to bring that up before we end the show because we sit here and talk about Pat Hughes a lot, but Ron Coomer makes the radio broadcast just as good as well. So congrats to him for being a finalist. I'm looking forward to see who wins.
I'm looking to find the rest of that list. I don't know.
There's a lot of great names on there. A handful of names that I've been in this studio and I've had the pleasure of meeting. So, unfortunately, Ron Coomer is not one of them. However, I did run into Ron Coomer at Murphy's last year, and what I mean by ran into him, I saw him at Murphy's, and he was headed up to the rooftop. But I do not have the pleasure of actually meeting him. But I hope to one day.
Yeah, you talk about listening to the Cubs on the radio. Pat Hughes, from my entire life, has been the play-by-play guy. And growing up, Ron Santo was there, and didn't know how to replace
Ron Santo.
Ron Santo. How I guess no one really knew how do you replace Ron Santo, right? But I think Coombs done. He's great. He's great on the radio. Great working with Pat Hughes. Hearing him call him partner and stuff like that is always just kind of nice to hear. But Ron Coomer, great. Getting to interact with him myself at Wrigley Field sometimes. Always a nice guy. Always up for a chat. And he Pat Hughes, he's Hall of Famer, right? We know that. But to see Coombe get some recognition for the great things he does, calling Cubs games and everything else, that is really good to see for him because he does do a great job. It's not just a feel-good thing. He does a really good job working with Pat or working with Zach whenever Zach hops on. Ron Coomer is a great voice of the Cubs, and so to have him around is actually a good thing. And, again, to see him get recognition for that is a great thing.
Absolutely. And it's always good to see, we can sit here and complain about the roster and lack of spending over the years, whatever. But the one thing the Cubs have always just been really good at is they make the broadcasts, whether it's on TV or on radio, it's always been top notch, in my opinion at least. And Ron Coomer makes the radio broadcasts just as good, definitely not better because Pat Hughes is the GOAT, but he's right up there with Pat Hughes. They both work well together. So again, congrats to him for being a finalist, and I hope he gets rewarded with some recognition. So before we get out of here, we got one more ad to tell you about. FOCO, guys. We got these bobbleheads on here. 2 of them were from Wrigley Field. But we have the Clark the Cub one behind us.
Clark is right behind
right behind Ryan. Yeah, we got a Hayden Wisniewski one we always mention.
I'm doing this off. Right there.
Right. Yeah, there you go. You can get all the different bobbleheads and a lot more at FOCO. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around: hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. I know it's football season, but in my head, it's always baseball season if you just really focus on it, because the off season just means just as much as the regular season. Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game. Listen, CubsCon's coming up, all right, in January. All I know is FOCO has those overalls. My guy Mike Dubs has a pair of those FOCO overalls, and all I've been thinking about since I saw him post that TikTok is that I need to see him at CubsCon in the FOCO overalls, and we both can wear the FOCO Cubs overalls that Sarah's showing on the screen right now. These things are absolutely incredible. I need them like I need air to breathe. They also, again, like our set decorations that we've mentioned, they've donated a few awesome pieces for our set, so go show them some love. Check out FOCO.com or the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use promo code CHGO10 for 10% off.
I just used our FOCO code as well to buy a Michigan State Santa gift thingy for my brother. So I'm just saying.
Well, hopefully your brother doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't listen to the podcast and he won't hear that.
No, but I'm just saying you can buy. You have a whole variety of teams you could choose from.
He could have been like Ryan last year, where he openly said that he bought his entire family Shady Rays.
Yeah.
This is the one time he tunes in.
Well, I'm pretty sure Ryan's dad listens all the time.
Yeah,
so.
my whole family.
Ryan's dad.
My parents were listening to it in the car with my aunt, who then went and told her kids. So I'm like, all right, well, that's cool.
Big family road trip with CHGO Cubs.
Looks like my entire family now knows that I bought them CHGO swag for Christmas because I said.
But they don't know which ones.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But they do know that they basically getting all CHGO swag. So. Okay. That's the show. We're actually 5 minutes over. Sorry, once again. Hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate y'all. Again, we're going to be in Nashville next week. We'll be live from a hotel in Nashville for the winter meetings. Really exciting stuff. I'm excited to get there. I've never been. Ryan, you were at the one last year, so, you'll be used to what we're going to be around. But, yeah, we will be there next week. And, man, if there is something that happens this weekend, or, hell, if Tyler Glasnow is traded to the Cubs in the next 5 hours, we'll be doing an emergency podcast. So,
we'll be live.
So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, you just came up upon the show today, hit the subscribe button. We have great Chicago sports content here, not just Cubs. And yeah, we if nothing happens, we'll definitely see you on Monday. I don't know what time, but we will see you on Monday.
Yeah, we'll definitely give you an update ASAP as possible.
Yeah.
On our time for next week. But yeah, very excited for winter meetings. Like we said, a hot stove, everyone's there, teams, reporters, agents, whatever. They're all there. So that's where a lot of that's when the stove really, really starts to heat up. So I'm really excited to go down there. We're all going to be down there doing shows. So it'll be very cool.
Tentatively, and I'm saying this for Barb because she's always asking, but our schedule says that we will be live at 5 p.m. on Monday.
That makes some sense.
And that makes sense because I think we're flying out in the morning.
And then after kind of the meetings start to cool down a little bit. But
so, again, we'll keep you updated if that time changes. But 5 p.m. Monday from the winter meetings in Nashville. Can't wait. So, yeah. We will talk to you whenever. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Fly to W.
We all silly like the mayor.